Got a feeling, a great feeling from Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey in the morning makes me feel alive. Woke me up this morning, now I'm up and on my way. Oh, 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 yeah, what a great way to start your day, the Lakey way.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Did you miss me yesterday? Anybody miss me at all? I hope you missed me. I hope you're very sad. I was stuck in traffic. We tried to post from the road. The internet sucked. I ended up with a text version announcing on all the platforms that we could that we were out. I'm in Rwanda. I'm in Africa, by the way. And anyway, I hope you missed me. I really do. And we're back here live. I barely made it today. I was rushing around. And it's only, 5 o'clock in the afternoon here. And it cuts my work time. But a lot of work to do yesterday. Didn't get to get everything done. And now, long story short, we're back today. And here we are. And I notice I have my hat on, sweaty again. I brought two versions of this hat, my Rivers Promise hat. That's just dried now. That's from yesterday. Manual labor and working was yesterday, and it's just dried up now. I had a clean version that I was going to wear for the show, but one of my directors here saw it and said, "You have two hats." I said, "Yes, one's for now, one's for later." And he says, "Can I have one?" And I said, "Okay." So he got the clean hat. I asked him if he wanted the dirty one or the brand new one. He took the brand new one. So anyway, sorry I have to wear a dirty hat, and I'm going to show it to you just to let you know that we're working very hard on behalf of the kids here in Rwanda at Rivers Promise. If you're new to the show, my name is Jimmy Lakey, and Unleashed from the confines of corporate radio. And here we've been doing this little streamcast, broadcast, and podcast. We do all three in one, and we do it right here live, and we appreciate everybody participating on it. All right, let's get started. Thursday, the 4th day of December, year of our Lord 2025. And no, this is not a joke. I actually am broadcasting from Rwanda. If you're new to the program, look it up, riverspromise.com or riverspromise.org. You'll find out why I come here all the time. Stacy Miller Pratt is in Texas. Good morning, Texas. Ray's praying we're having a blessed trip. Rich checks in from Missouri, as he does almost every morning, beginning to wonder how bad traffic is over there. It's really rough. I mean, there's a lot of cars, and they have a lot of road construction because it's expanding in new areas. And the other one you got to watch out for is they have these moto taxis. And I've ridden them before. I didn't like them when I was younger, and I don't like them now. And they zip in and out of traffic, and they're quick to get on. I do know that the U.S. Embassy does not allow their staff or anybody affiliated with them to ride the motorcycle taxis. Are considered to be very dangerous. I've had one of my directors here twice in a motorcycle accident that I know. One time his bag went flying and someone ran off with his newly issued computer. And he was actually pretty new with the organization at that point. He was pretty sure he was going to get fired. So he ended up at the hospital. And I said, "You're not going to get fired because you had a motorcycle wreck, but someone stole your computer. You should have held on to the computer." I really gave him a tough time about letting the computer fly during the motorcycle accident. He was a passenger. So anyway, they're very dangerous. And today, there was a thought of maybe we're not going to make it back in time even for today. And one of the guys that I was with said, "Maybe you should jump on a moto." And I said, "I'll miss the show 2 days in a row. I'm not riding a moto." So I'm here, I'm safe, and don't worry about it. Before we get to some news of the day, I want to show you something. I just saw Stacy. Let me make sure I have, that's whose child we have loaded up, right? Okay. Yes. This is, I don't even know the child's name. I'm sorry. This happened so quickly. We loaded it up. And I'm told that Stacy, who's often commenting in the show from Texas, Stacy Miller Pratt, sponsors a child through Rivers Promise. And I happened to stumble across this little child yesterday and look for, and no, that's not it. That's the eyeglass story. You got to do that. Go to the other photo. Yeah, there it is. That's me with Stacy Miller Pratt sponsored child. Beautiful little girl. We found her outside. I was looking for someone to take individual photos of newly sponsored kids, and I had that name. And wasn't in the classroom, but they were out behind our school doing physical education. And so, being the physical specimen that I am, I joined them for part of their PE class until they actually got physical. And then I just said, "Can we have a photo?" So there's the photo of there's Stacy commenting on the screen from Texas. Just sponsors that little girl. And if you'd like to sponsor a child, it's $65 a month, and they get to. A lot of our kids are at our school do not have sponsors, and unfortunately, it's kind of a problem. but we have a classroom, so we use it. But we could use each child to have an individual sponsor. It's a wonderful thing, or just $65 helps out. But that is Stacy. I'll have to look up the child's name. I put it up so quickly I didn't even know. But Stacy Miller Pratt from Texas sponsors a child. I know Scott out there lurking. Usually he sponsors 4 or 5 kids. And a lot of you do sponsor. We appreciate it, but it's $65 a month. We always appreciate your help. Let's do some news. What do you say? Oh, by the way, Niels Grabilius is going to be on the program today. Niels is coming up on the show. Jay Ratliff will be here, our aviation and travel expert and big-time supporter of Rivers Promise. He's going to be on the show as well. So don't go anywhere. Great cast of characters as we enter the month of December. I'm told that the weather in Colorado is still cold, and so there's a chance that I just may not come back until, let's say, April. I'm working that out, but I don't think so. So we'll see how it all goes. All right. As you wake up this morning, as you went to bed last night, breaking news on a lot of the headlines, a lot of the news sources out there, is the feds finally nab the person they think the alleged Capitol pipe bomb suspect in major breakthrough in the investigation of January the 6th. Now, you remember there were pipe bombs left at the Democrat committee office and the Republican committee office, and they just didn't know who did it a couple of weeks ago. There was some report that it was a Fed. It was somebody that was affiliated with the government. Not exactly sure who they've announced, but here's what we do know now. The FBI has made an arrest in this nearly 5-year-old investigation into who placed pipe bombs in Washington, D.C. on the eve of the January the 6th, 2021 Capitol protest, a law enforcement official told the AP. This arrest marks the first time that investigators, sorry, I've got audio on me here, so stop that. I've got audio going from some website, and I'm not exactly sure where it's at. It's got to be Fox News website somewhere. They play audio for no reason, and it's really freaking annoying. So back to the story. The arrest marks the first time investigators have settled on a suspect in an act of this long vexed law enforcement spawned a multitude of conspiracy theories and remained an enduring mystery. The official describes the arrest was not authorized to publicly discuss a case, but they have spoken the condition of anonymity. The arrest took place Thursday morning. So that's bright and early this morning, and the suspect is a man. The officials say no details are immediately available, including the charges the person may face. The pipe bombs were placed on the evening of January the 5th, 2021, near the offices of the Democratic and Republican National Committees in D.C. Nobody was hurt before the bombs were rendered harmless, but the FBI has said both devices could have been lethal. Now, remember, this was a kind of where a lot of the conspiracy theories, because they say if there were bombs out there, was Secret Service not paying attention? Because Kamala Harris on that morning in 2021 was actually at the DNC headquarters. In the years since this all developed, investigators have sought the public's help to identify the shadowy suspect seen in surveillance footage. They're struggling to figure it out. But again, there's no exact details on who they've arrested. But sometime early this morning, they arrested a male. And they say it's in conjunction with the January the 5th placement of bombs right before the January the 6th events happened in 2021. Now, I know technology has greatly improved and or increased in recent years as far as security and surveillance, but I just find it hard to believe. If you remember, they after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, they had CCTV, closed circuit television, following this person's movement. Here they are on block 1. They move from here to here to here. And that's how they got the guy that killed the health insurance executive as well. They had cameras everywhere. It's hard to believe that in 2021, they only have that one little footage of this guy walking, and there was no other camera in the city to pick anything up. Again, I'm not a surveillance expert, but the fact that they slow rolled this in seemingly very slow time and seemingly gave very little information, said, hey, look at that shadowy figure, public, tell us who it is. That's what leads to conspiracy theories, and that's exactly what leads to us not believing the federal government and think they may be covering something else up. You may see this as a story that that's Donald Trump in some context. Again, I'm overseas. You may have to update me. He posted something about Ilhan Omar being garbage, and I saw many people from the left very bothered. How dare you call any human being garbage? First of all, if you're a leftist and you said that, you're a self-righteous son of a gun and a hypocrite, and you don't deserve to ever be heard of an opinion again. I'll tell you why. For years, people like myself, people like Donald Trump, people that have voted for Trump, have been called racist, bigoted, trashy. We've been called deplorables. We've been called, again, fascist. We've been called Nazi lovers. We've been called Hitler lovers. We've been called all that. And you little self-righteous putzes on the left get your panties in a bunch. And yeah, you men probably wear panties too. You get your panties in a bunch that someone calls Elon Omar garbage. Before you start griping and complaining about name calling, and I'm not advocating name calling at all, not saying it's the right thing to say, but before I get a lecture from any of you on the left about Donald Trump using the word garbage, I'd like to, first of all, have you lecture your friends, your fellow leftists out there about their use of the word fascist and Nazi and racist and bigot and xenophobic and all the things we've called. So again, it's really rich to just see the left somehow get a taste of their own medicine. And I'm not saying it's the best tactic out there to call someone garbage, not condoning it, not saying that's the right thing. I don't even know the context of it, but I do know that the context of it is that some people are acting and feigning as if they're very brokenhearted. They can't believe this happened. And how dare you ever call another human being garbage? Is it worse to be called Hitler or garbage? I mean, why is it that you're so bothered that someone to be called garbage like Elon Omar, but you weren't bothered that people like myself or Trump have been called Nazis and fascists and bigots, etc.? So again, stop the lecturing. I think most of America sees through it. You may have your little bubble of friends and bubbles of sickos that hang out with you that say, "Oh, I'm offended too. I'm offended. Garbage. Can you believe he said garbage? It proves that he's a fascist." It really is rich, and I think a lot of folks do see through that. All right, let's have a little fun here. I have a question of the day. You ready for your question of the day? Question of the day is, remember as a kid, you got excited for Christmas? You were so excited for Christmas. It was just a joyous time. You're waiting for the stockings to be hung by the chimney with care. You're waiting for the Christmas tree to go up. As a child, you remember going to the mall or wherever you're sitting on Santa's lap, writing maybe a letter to Santa, dropping into the mail. I mean, all the excitement of Christmas. And remember at Christmas time as a child, you got that Thanksgiving break and then you got the Christmas break. And that stretch between Thanksgiving and Christmas seemed as if it was going to last forever. It was the longest stretch in your memory of time moving so slowly because you were anticipating such fun for Christmas. Well, now time has moved on, right? But maybe you became a parent and you still were excited for your kids being excited. That was exciting to watch your kids be excited. I mean, I remember getting my son ready to go see Santa Claus at the mall, and he was always excited to go do it. And there was always an excitement. But now as an adult, and maybe you still have kids in the house, maybe you don't, but go back to your time as a child, your childhood memory. What gets you excited about the holidays now? Children, they list gifts. They say time off from school. That's the top reason that you got so excited. We got usually about 2 weeks roughly off for Christmas break when I was a child. And it was exciting that you got 2 weeks out of school. Now kids get time off all the time. They get a Thanksgiving week. They get a Christmas couple of weeks. They get late starts on Monday, and kids got a lot of time off. But when I was a child, it was a big day. If you had a teacher in service day, you might say thank you, Jesus, even if you're not a Christian. You would be very excited for that thank you for that teacher in service day. But kids still list that getting out of school is one of the top reasons they love this time of year. But do we really care what the kids think? Let's ask what we think. We're the grown-ups here, and they came up with a list of the top 5 reasons that adults get excited during the holidays. And I would like to ask you, what are your top 5 reasons to get excited for the holiday? Now that you're an adult, now that you're a grown-ass person, what are your top reasons to get excited for the holidays? I'm going to go through some of the list here that they have listed in the list. One of the list is college bowl season. It gives you 41 different opportunities to ignore all the family that's hanging out, and you can just tune them out 41 different times to watch college football. 41 different bowls this holiday season. That actually was on the list of reasons that people get excited for the holiday season. Another reason that some adults say, and I'm asking you, this is your question today, reply on all the forums on the comment sections. Why is it that you get excited for the holiday season? Some people say eggnog. They get excited because this is the one time that they get to have alcohol with their protein of the day. You know, what's my protein? Eggnog. And it's going to have the booze in it. So people actually listed college football and eggnog as 2 of the top reasons they get they get excited. Here's another reason people said they get excited. It's the one time when your kids are being a pain in the rear, you just point at the doll on the shelf and say the elf's going to tell Santa. This is real stuff that people put on the list. I enjoy the holidays because I get my kids to behave because that darn elf on a shelf is going to tell Santa. By the way, where did the elf on the shelf? I'd never heard of such a thing until what 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Was an elf? Was I living a sheltered life? Um, was I living a sheltered life? Was there elf on the shelf when we were kids? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's a new thing, and I don't know where it came from. And somebody's getting rich off the invention, I'm quite sure, but I don't know where it came from. And maybe I just missed it the whole time. So, again, what are your top reasons for loving and being excited for the holiday season? I'd love to get some of your takes. I know some of you are probably creative. Other ones on the list are those Christmas lights that have been hanging on your house all year. You finally get to turn them back on. You know who you are. You never took them off. They've been dangling there, and you're like, oh, we should have taken them off. Oh, shoot, it's April. Oh, it's May. Well, you know what? We might as well leave them up. We'll give it this summer when it warms up. And the Christmas lights stayed up there, so now those Christmas lights get to turn back on. That's one that people were excited about. I'm not sure people are taking this list too seriously. Another one that people listed, I'm not sure it made the top five, were holiday gifts for teachers, because people say one of the reasons they love the holidays is they get to get rid of junk or things they got last Christmas that they're going to re-gift back to the teacher because it's something someone gave them and they're never going to use that. Save it next year. We'll give it to the teachers. Those are some of the things that people say. So maybe it's watching your favorite Christmas movie. Maybe you want to tell us what that is. But I don't know. Somebody actually did write on their top five reasons they love Christmas, or one of the top five. They said all year long, 11 months of the year, I get called fat. And at least at Christmas time, I get called jolly. Yeah, these African guys, and some of them work for me, and I should fire them, but I don't want to have to do the work myself. They see me, and they're actually jealous of. They call it. Remember the movie The Lion King, Hakuna Matata? Was that The Lion King? I think it was. They're very jealous. They would say Hakuna Matata. Matata means problems, no worry, and they pat your belly, and they will say Matata. You have a Matata. You have a worry. You have a problem, and this time on the trip, because I'm trying to lose weight and trying to slim down, especially after this trip, they have humiliated me to the utmost parts of the earth. And as they have humiliated me so much by patting my belly as if I'm the great Buddha here, I'm embarrassed. They think it's funny. I am ashamed of them, not me. I'm ashamed of them. So, yeah, but at least this time of year, I'm jolly, right? At least this time of year, I'm a jolly fella. And the rest of the year, they just call me fatso. That's all right. Yes, sir. All right. Question of the day. What's the most exciting part? What is it that you love to celebrate? What makes you excited? Ray is actually a good student. He's taking this, unlike some of these people that were like, I get to have protein with my alcohol, or alcohol with my protein, called eggnog. Ray is actually celebrating the true reason of the season, which is very good. Ray, the message of hope in a dark world. I think that's fantastic that we can now are back in a world, especially with Trump around, that we get to say Merry Christmas. We get to talk about Jesus a little bit more, the reason for the season. Jeff brings up, this is actually funny, but it's actually true for most of us men out there. This is the one time a year that you're looking at your socks or maybe your underpants and you're going, yeah, time for a new round, because that's what you're going to get. You're going to do everything you can to buy something nice for your wife or significant other. You're going to do everything you can to get your kids and grandkids everything they want. But they're going to show up with a stupid T-shirt, a coffee mug, and some socks and underwear. That's what we men are going to get. So, Jeff, you're actually right. And it's kind of funny that we men are going, yeah, I'm going to get some new socks and underwear. Men we get ripped off. The whole Mother's Day celebration versus the Father's Day celebration, we get gypped on that one as well. I'm just going to throw that out there. We men get the shaft on that thing. And I think at Christmas we do as well, because we do everything we can to provide and buy everybody gifts. And what do we get? We get some shirt that the kids think is funny, Homer Simpson mooning someone, I'm making a dad joke, or some coffee mug that has some smart ass comment on it. A couple of years ago, my son got me one. It was a very nice coffee mug, kind of a Yeti style mug, one of those insulated things. Wonderful. I drink coffee, as you see. Usually when I'm at my own studio, I have coffee machines brewing. Right now, I have a coffee cup. There's no coffee because it's in the afternoon. There's a coffee cup here in my hotel Didn't get to go anywhere fancy today. I barely made it in here, but I have a bottle of water, and I have to tell you that the coffee mug was cool until my son thought it was funny. There's an old hot rod on it, which I'm not a car guy, and it said, "I'm not old, I'm classic." You get that for like an 80-year-old dude, but my son thought it was funny. And I'm like, dude, of all the things that I give you in life, that's all I got for Christmas is a coffee mug. The only thing would have been worse is that coffee mug, you turned it around and said, and I'm also fat. But this time of year, I'm jolly. That would have hurt my feelings as well. But anyway, we guys get the ripoff. What is it that you most look forward for at Christmas? And what gets you excited now that you are a grown adult? And I think for most of us guys, we are looking at our socks about right now going, it's about time for a new round, isn't it? They last about 11 months, and we're going on 12 months, so the socks are looking kind of bad. I want to show you a video, get some more news stories in here as well, but I want to show you a video. It is a video of yesterday, and it's been posted on social media. And it is a video of me actually going into the house. A lot of times, at charity organizations such as Rivers Promise, we post up a heck of a lot of photos. They're fantastic. It's kids and they're smiling, and we talk about the poverty that they live in, and we don't oftentimes understand that poverty, and we don't understand, because they look so great. I toured another school today of a friend that's on the other side of the city from where we are, and I toured her school today, Hope Haven, fantastic school. It's massive. They have 2,000 students at it. They have their own water treatment facility. It's an amazing complex, and I was greatly inspired, and yet also greatly just filled with angst, going, man, we got to do more. We got to do more to help more kids, because they're helping an amazing amount of kids. But it's easy to get excited about the smiley faces of the kids and not really understand the backstory. And so yesterday we went to a home, and actually I went to them. Remember last week I told the story of a little girl that had been raped, and we were sending her help. I went to her home and I met with her yesterday. She's not in this video for privacy reasons. That's no need. Not that you know her, but just this video is not about her, but this is her home. This is what she goes home to. This is her home. And this is actually a pretty decent house. This is not the worst of the worst of where people live. This is a home that is, it's kind of average. And I want you to notice a couple of things because it goes very quickly. How excited I'm going to be standing. I was about to walk into the house, and you'll see me look over my shoulder when you watch the video. And it's the mom of the family coming out to say, and she pulls me and wants to show me something. I was actually just going to walk in and do the tour on the inside. And the mom was so proud of this home. There was no shame, no anything. She was so excited to welcome me, honored to have me come into her home. So she took me up, showed me some of the plants, and you'll see the most beautiful. And so that little trip up the trail, 30 yards or so, was not planned. That was ad lib. I didn't know she was coming to do that. And I want you to see, if you look at the big tree, I don't get close to it because I was off guard and it wasn't part of my plan. It's the biggest avocado tree I've ever seen. It was massive avocado tree, an absolutely gorgeous tree. You'll see that. And then we'll go back inside. You'll see I call him the little guy. That's the little brother of the family. He was a great little kid, and he was all eyes and ears, and would hold my hand walking down the trail, and I'd pat him on the head, and we'd fist bump. He was a great guy. And then you'll see me walk in. There's a courtyard of the house, and imagine if this is your front entrance of your home. You watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And then the very end, we go towards the very end of the tour part. We walk in the home, and I say, this is the main living area. And I want you to notice what's in that main living area. I'll give you a clue. There's not a couch. It's a couple of benches. There's no table. But that is the living area where the family actually gathers, and you'll see. And you say, well, that's kind of rough, bare existence. That's not the roughest, my friends. This is actually, for the people in the community around our school, this is actually a pretty great shelter. But it still shows that these kids, to escape that type of poverty, need to go to a school, get an education. And that's why we do it. These kids, that little boy in this video you're about to see, he will never escape the pit of poverty. He will never climb to a different station of life. He'll never have a different level of provision and actual food. He'll never have it unless he gets a sponsor and they go to school. So this was yesterday. This was why I didn't make the show because we got stuck in traffic. We were way off the beaten path. They don't take you this on the tours of Rwanda, where I'm broadcasting from. Watch this, and we'll catch up with our buddy Neil Scrivilius here in just a second. But this is me yesterday. Today I'm in Rwanda, and this was me yesterday out off the beaten trail. I guarantee you, if you ever stumbled across, a drunken super and found yourself in Africa, in Rwanda, you're not going to find this house. But we found it, and this is the tour, part of it impromptu. Well, all of it impromptu, but watch it. I got to set the stage. Roll the tape, please.
As promised, I am up high above where our school is at in Rwanda, and I'm going in to see this beautiful family. There you go. Mama, she's showing me some of the plants that all of the plants and the fruits that they eat. And then we're taking a little tour. Mama's giving me a tour. This is, oh, look at the tree, avocado. Big trees, very big. Thank you very much. Very beautiful. Beautiful. And then that's the little guy. Hello, Amakuru. Look at you. Let's go this way. Let's go inside. It's a little wall going inside the house area, and in the courtyard, you will see there's the pigs, little piggies. Hello, little piggy. Little pigs. There's the pig, big pig. Then right outside the house is a cow. There's the big cow. And over here, coming out, is the little cow. All right, we're gonna go inside. This is kind of the courtyard. Here we go. Inside the house we go. Oh, drying out some of the fruits. That's the radio. If you want to communicate, hear what's happening, it's right there, hanging on the wall. By the way, these children attend our school, Legacy Christian Academy. And then we come into the main living area of the house. So now you see a Rwandan home. Here we are. So we're here. Oh, she's cleaning me up. I think I got cow on me. I got cow. We're praying that the cow will make milk. The cow is not making much milk. We're working on that. I said earlier, I would rather be a milk cow than a beef cow, because you know what happens to the beef cow. And if I ever got back on the earth as a pig, that would be a very bad thing, because pigs are good for bacon. Look at the little piggies. Bye-bye, Mama.
She was very happy with her house, and I just wanted to show that. And you say, well, that's poor, that's horrible. They live in those conditions. Well, that's not the worst of the worst. That's actually a pretty good shelter for what we deal with in the community. But again, that's why we talk about sponsorship through our charity. That's why I'm here. Even bothering to do the show from Rwanda is because Rivers Promise is the charity work that I started, and I know that kids like that will never escape that level of poverty. They will never, ever, ever climb out of that. We say education is the ladder that they can use to climb from the pit of extreme poverty. And we're thankful for those of you who help. If you'd like to learn more about our work at Rivers Promise, go to Rivers. Your help in and help us out during the Christmas season. All right, don't forget, question of the day. Why is it as an adult that you actually get stoked, excited, pumped up, and thrilled about the holiday season? Is it just a chance to drink the eggnog? Is it a chance for you men to get new socks and underwear? As a child, is the thrill of Santa, the thrill of stockings hung by the chimney with care? What are the reasons do you get excited for the holiday season? Love to hear from you. Breaking news overnight before we go to our next guest is the FBI has arrested a man in the January the 6th Eve pipe bomb cases. It took 5 years, and they finally have an arrest. They did it sometime early this morning. They're not saying who. They just say it is a male. If they would have done this, or could have done this earlier, I think, had they had the illustrious Neil Scrivilius on the case. I'll ask him why they didn't hire him. Maybe he could have figured this out. And also the fake outrage out there that Ilhan Omar was called garbage. On Tuesday, President Trump was talking about Somali migrants, and it was revealed that the Democrats allowed a $1 billion transfer of funds to happen in Minnesota to the Somali community, and he doesn't want Somali migrants in here, and called them garbage, and he called Ilhan Omar garbage as he ripped the community, and he says, we're going to keep taking in garbage in our country. Ilhan Omar's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These people come from hell and they complain and they do nothing but bitch, says Donald Trump. Elon Omar has gotten her panties in a bunch over this and said, you can't call another human. Again, I'm not saying you should call people garbage, but I do have to say, don't lecture us about name calling after all the years that we've been fascist, bigot, homophobes, Nazis, and all the other things that you've called Donald Trump and people like myself. So it's real rich to hear people offended by the use of name calling when that's actually been the only arrow in the quiver for the American left out there. Ladies and gentlemen, I think he could have solved this J6 thing quicker. And there's still a lot of questions about this J6 arrest, other topics to get to, but let's bring in private investigator extraordinaire, our buddy Niels Gravilius. How are you, sir?
I don't think I've ever enjoyed a nicer day, Jimmy.
Oh, do I have you, Niels? We have a delay.
Well, everything is
Go ahead,
good.
Niels.
I'm here.
Oh, I hear rustling. I think I hear Niels Gravilius.
Do we have a good connection, Jimmy?
Niels, can you hear me?
Yes. I can hear you. Yeah.
I'm very well, sir. Great to connect. You're in California and I'm in Africa.
Well,
very good. I think we have a slight delay. Glad to have you here, Mr. Gravilius. January the 6th, this case, the January the 6th case, you could have solved this earlier. Why did it take them 5 years, you think, Niels, to hunt this guy down?
I think that the Bureau wasn't working on the case at all. They were too busy confronting parents about going to the school board. They were busy locking up January 6 protesters. And they didn't put in any real work on the pipe bomber. Well, the name that is leaking out through Fox News this morning, Jimmy, is Mr. Brian Cole of Virginia. That's all I know about him as of now, but I'm sure by the end of the day, we'll know a bit more about this man.
So they might not have been working on this case, and now a new eyes come up and they're trying to solve the problem. Niels, are you saying that maybe the Justice Department had been weaponized against political opponents rather than seeking, real truth about who might have tried to blow people up? Now, it's more important to find their political opponents?
Well, I think we can trace this all the way back to Lois Lerner and Eric Holder. Selectively leaking IRS information, both being held in contempt of Congress and then never prosecuted.
Yeah. You probably heard the setup there. I think I had a lag, and I'm not sure if my connection was great. Talking about Donald Trump, talking about these Somalians that are here, and he called them garbage and said we can't get them out of here. They just come here and take from us and complain and bitch. Those are his words. And then we also talk about these people that did the DC shooting, killed a National Guards person. We imported that problem here. Give me your take on the not just the shooting of the guardsmen, but this talk about these. We've imported these people that don't seem to want to love America, be a part of America. Give me your thoughts. We imported our own problem here.
Yes, we did. We've mimicked the French and the British by importing a nation to live within a nation. They don't care to be Americans. They just they want to be a parasite, a plurality, I would say. There are some exceptions, but this is a pretty disappointing outcome. I keep hearing from people on the left, like Jen Psaki, that the Afghanis were all vetted. Well, they were vetted to the extent that the CIA and military intelligence could vet them for their suitability as CIA paramilitaries, not for resettlement in the US. And then as far as Somalia goes, 30 years ago, the population of Somalians in Minnesota was about 300. And now it's substantially larger. And they have real clout in that city. Um, I've seen a statistic that suggests more than 70% of them are public charges, living on the dole, that sort of thing. And Ilhan Omar thinks that her constituency is Somalia, not the United States of America. She thinks she represents Somalia. I'm very suspicious of her and her intentions, that sort of thing. If our president wants to engage in a little bit of rhetoric to prove his political point, I'm all for it. And you are correct. They never hesitate to call me names, you names, those on our side names, that sort of thing. Look how they refer to Bobby Kennedy now that he's left their caucus. Tulsi Gabbard was the deputy chair of the DNC a few years ago, and for getting athwart the Clintons, she wasn't just turned out of the Democrat Party. They sicked Homeland Security on Tulsi Gabbard, a decorated combat veteran.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. By the way, if you're listening to the audio version of the show, you're listening to Niels Gravilius. I know thousands of earballs will hear this show by the end of the day as we broadcast, screencast, and podcast. We do them all. Niels Gravilius will talk about his upcoming book that's now months away from its publication. And of course, extraordinary private investigator based in the Los Angeles area. Niels Gravilius is the voice you hear if you're not watching it and seeing it on the screen. Again, thousands of earballs hear the show or see the show every day. And we always appreciate Niels coming on the program. Niels, just as I was leaving the country last week, there was talk of a serial killer on the loose, maybe in Florida. Now, I've been traveling, and I have to admit that I'm a little bit out of touch as to where that all ended up. But I'm sure you were following, because anytime I hear about a serial killer, I'm like, get Niels, he can solve the case here. But Florida authorities, they weren't willing to say it was a serial killer in the Jacksonville area. What do you know about this story? Are we still getting people killed in Florida?
No, it was three people killed in a few days, and it was not a serial killer. I looked at the circumstances of this particular case, Jimmy, and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was very forthright in what it is that they were doing. They already have one suspect, maybe two by now, in custody for different murders. It's just it was a cluster of murders done for different purposes by different people. Unfortunately, our big cities in this country have a criminal problem. I'm sure that Governor DeSantis and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement would like to put all of this down, but they can't do it all at once. And unfortunately, you see situations like this in cities like Jacksonville.
Again, Niels Gravilius is there, and the breaking news across America this morning is that the Justice Department says they have arrested a man, possibly a name that Niels has revealed from Fox News, has been arrested. Niels, there was circulation a couple of weeks ago that they were close on this case, and that I had heard an interview with somebody in the know that FBI had some kind of analysis to where they ran this person's, they could see the way the person walked, their gait, and they could say it's a certain type of person. There's databases of your walk and your gait and how all sorts of kind of tracking devices. What kind of technology is there available like that? I mean, they issued these shadowy images of a person in a hoodie, and which was interesting that Washington, D.C., even back in 2021, didn't have better surveillance. What were they just not used? Was Washington, D.C. really that exposed, or was it that cover that they could actually study and analyze the person's gait?
Well, the technology is not perfect, Jimmy. Some of it is subject to the quote unquote expertise of people who may or may not be experts. I will say that facial recognition software is quite good, and license plate readers are quite good. But in terms of analyzing somebody's gait, how they walk, there are a number of things that it could affect how somebody walks. And let's say I wanted to modify the way that I walk so that on camera I look different. I could stuff socks in the front of my shoes next to my toes and change my gait that way. I could put pieces of cardboard under my arch to change my gait that way. I could put a knee brace on one leg and an ankle brace on the other and appear to be rather dystaxic, which is $100 word for unsteady on my feet. There are a lot of ways to go about this, Mr. Lakey. Um, I think it's something that's imperfect. And when I see talking heads touting technology in criminal investigation, every single thing of one of these things has limits. And I'll give you an example. There is a vast difference between fingerprints and DNA. And I'll tell you what the salient characteristic is for me as a detective, Jimmy. Fingerprints cannot be faked. DNA can.
Hmm. A lot of folks think that DNA is more modern and it's more accurate, and you're saying no, the old-fashioned fingerprint is much more reliable than the DNA.
Well, DNA is a tool that can be used very effectively, but the limitations of it are that it can be faked. If somebody wanted to set somebody up or change a lab result, things like that, it could be changed. And scientists have proven that DNA analysis could be changed. That sort of you could fake Jimmy Lakey's DNA and leave it on a bloody glove next to Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson, that sort of thing. And then Jimmy Lakey's in the white Bronco making a run for the border, right?
Yeah.
So, but fingerprints, they cannot be faked.
All right. I always love, and I think it's part of just human nature. Maybe it's my nature only. I love jumping up on the grassy knoll of conspiracy theories as much as anybody. I think it's kind of fun to, jump up, play up on the grassy knoll every once in a while. And there's been a lot of conspiracy thoughts about this bomber in Washington D.C., this pipe bomber, who it was. Some people think it was an inside job. Some people think it was a Fed planting the bomb. A lot of speculation. And I find the camera angles or the lack thereof that were released about this, that I find that to be kind of incredible. Just from the surface, what Nils Gravilius knows, is there something that we should be skeptical of, or was just the Justice Department not caring about it? Or are you looking at it going, this doesn't add up. This could have been something that was conspired or thought about on the grassy knoll of conspiracy. Do you see some kind of a theory going on here?
Well, there could be something to it, Jimmy. Let me tell you. How unlucky a bomber is Mr. Brian Cole, if Mr. Brian Cole is in fact the man who did this, that neither of his bombs can blow up. Neither of them were detonated. Um, were they planted as dummies to prove a point with unconnected explosives or something that wasn't so terribly explosive? Were they stuffed with clay and sawdust to resemble old dynamite? I haven't been allowed to examine the bombs, and I don't anticipate the ATF or FBI handing the evidence over to my office to work the case. I've got a lot of questions about this. Why is it that a climate scientist like Ted Kaczynski can make a whole series of very effective bombs which stymie the FBI and evade detection for 28 years? But this guy, his bombs are ineffective. And DC is the city that is under the heaviest surveillance in this nation. And he evades identification, let alone capture, for 5 years. And you'll notice that he lives rather close to DC. What if it turns out he's a political activist or in one of the pressure groups that handles this and that? For that or this, for these people or those people? I think we're about to find out more about Brian Cole. What if Brian Cole is a political activist? Is he right wing or is he left wing? If I had to make a bet, Mr. Lakey, I'd say he is left wing with a false flag, false bomb to make the right look bad without inflicting casualties. The casualty here was the insecurity that Americans felt as the result of the failure of Mr. Ray's FBI to do anything with this while they were imprisoning ordinary Americans for showing up at the Capitol protest on January 6th.
I think one of the things that will be judged harshly in history and should be is Christopher Wray, the same guy whose Justice Department and FBI did exactly what you said, imprisoned innocent individuals that just showed up. They arrested. They've arrested grandmas for literally praying or singing in front of a sidewalk of an abortion clinic. They did a lot to just target average people that were peacefully protesting and stuff. And yet, when it came to investigating crimes like this, they couldn't seem to solve it. We also, the last couple of weeks, we haven't talked about this. We found out that Mr. Christopher Wray stood in the hallowed halls of Congress and swore that Thomas Crooks, the would-be assassin of Donald Trump, they had no profile of him. He really kept a low key. They didn't know much about him. Now the story breaks out that Christopher Wray was a lying Sacagawea, and they had a digital profile. They know that the guy used weird pronouns. He was into the furry movement. They do know that the guy used to be a Trump supporter, and then he became a Trump hater. It doesn't seem like Christopher Wray wanted to be the great lawman that Niels Gravilius is.
Well, I'm I'm flattered that you would say that. I want to tell you that I'm in no danger of being made director of the FBI, Mr. Lakey. Regarding Christopher Wray and Merrick Garland's already been found in contempt of Congress, and I can only hope that Pam Bondi gets around to prosecuting our esteemed former Attorney General, who used to be so fond of saying that no one is above the law. As long as we're allowing James Comey to ride the lightning, let's have Mr. Wray ride the lightning also, and Merrick Garland. They can ride the lightning. I'm thoroughly unimpressed with this man. I'm unimpressed with the way the FBI operated contemporaneous with his stewardship of that agency. I know plenty of FBI agents who are disgusted by the entire Wray era of the FBI, probably one of the most compromised men ever to lead that agency.
Yeah. And the fact that he lied about Thomas Crook, the would-be assassin that almost came a millimeter from taking off the head of the president, is despicable. And I hope there is justice for these fools out there. All right, your website is on the screen, GraviliusPI.com, esteemed private investigator based in the Los Angeles area. Sir, you also have a book coming up. It's releasing here. Now we're months away. It's called The Last Lawman, True Stories of a Private Detective, Niels Gravilius. I'll let you plug all things Niels Gravilius starting now.
Well, yes, this is my true-to-life memoir, Mr. Lakey. I got permanently banned from Facebook in May of 2022. I found out about this while I was attending the funeral mass of John Connolly, who wrote Filthy Rich, that expose of Epstein. So this is May of 2022. And I remember looking at my phone just as the mass was starting, and I thought to myself, damn it, I'm going to write my memoir based on this. I was permanently banned from social media. I couldn't get anything out on Twitter. Now it's X. And I went right to writing this book. And it is my true-to-life memoir. I've been a private detective in Los Angeles for more than 30 years under my own aegis. I was in a crime suppression organization for a few years in the late 90s, based out of Glendale, where we operated essentially as a private police force suppressing cargo hijackings and things like that. But before that, I was in the Pinkerton service for a few years in Los Angeles, and we were doing protective investigations, industrial undercover, sensitive undercover operations to identify people involved in narcotics trafficking and fraud and theft on a large scale, that sort of thing. I was in the U.S. Army for a number of years, all over the Northern Pacific, but also the Aegean and the Horn of Africa. I did a lot of work. I had a good time. I got an above average education as a detective, and I decided to go out for hire in 1992. And it's been a marvelous time. I really have to tell you. I've put a lot of bad guys away, and I've also freed a few innocent men. I don't typically do criminal defense work, but if something is especially meritorious and something can be done, I do it. I chased two witnesses to Europe that the FBI claimed they couldn't find in 2002, 2003, and got statements from them dispositive of a case. They were witnesses to a kidnapping in Hollywood. I was in Poland, Sweden, Germany, Denmark looking for these two witnesses. And, I got the job done. My own bank cut off my debit card, so I couldn't pay the consulate to notarize the signature of one of these deponents in the case because they were concerned that someone was committing fraud in Denmark with my debit card. I won't name the bank. They can go to hell. I've had an extraordinary life. There was a man in Pasadena, California named Brian Harrington, and you can look him up. Brian Harrington, Pasadena. He was a one-man crime wave. He called himself a mortgage broker. He was an extortionist and a thief who would get people into a wedge of non-performance on their home buying deal and shake them down for higher points, higher interest percentage, kickback written into the escrow instructions, things like that. Well, he got arrested for rape in 2011, and I was one of the men who arrested him. And then he's in the Los Angeles County Jail and allegedly tried to hire the Mexican mafia to assassinate his victim and her children. He beat those charges at trial, but served 10 years in prison for the rape. Now, let me ask you a question, Jimmy Lakey. Have you ever heard of a situation where a man is such a greasy little lowlife that the Mexican mafia has more honor than he does? The Mexican mafia turned him into the county sheriff's department for trying to hire them to kill his victim. Can you imagine that? Now he's a trial consultant. He's a registered sex offender in Orange County and calls himself a trial consultant. And you and I are paying the rent on his apartment and for him to live and eat and go to University of California, Irvine. He's a public charge. The man probably stole $30 million in 20 years, and he's a public charge now.
The book is coming out when? It's going to have all the tales and all things Niels Gravilius. It's called The Last Lawman, True Stories of a Private Detective. Niels Gravilius, when does the book hit the shelves?
It will be the 12th of June, 2026, just in time for you to ruin your Father's Day with a nice gift of my book. I'm really looking forward to this. It's available for pre-order on Amazon right now, Jimmy. And I hope that your viewers with their earballs are listening to this. I look forward to this. The other day, I was talking to Bob Souza, who's retired from Robbery Homicide Division, LAPD, who has written books with Tom Lang, who arrested O.J. Simpson for murder. He and Lang have a couple of books out. Everything is good. People want to know about how crimes are solved and the failures of city government under left-wing leadership. And we're in a real pickle here in metropolitan Los Angeles. I'm running and gunning on the streets every day in this city. Right now, I'm working on a case involving cannabis gangsters. They pretend to be legitimate. They're selling cannabis under the aegis of licensure and everything else. And they're distributing 10 times as much bootleg pot as they are the legitimate stuff. And it's cover for a whole lot of other criminality.
Wow. The book's available pre-orders. The Last Lawman, Niels Gravilius. We do have one question coming in for the Peanut Gallery. Shows up on X, which you mentioned there. Said, just when Niels could not get more interesting, Jeff says, I am a boycotter. Any info on that shyster bank would be welcomed. He's ready to go on a boycott on your behalf of who cut you off in Denmark.
Bank of America.
BOA. There goes the boycott. Jeff's on it. Niels, it's always a pleasure. We enjoy having you on here. And we could have solved this J6 thing a long time ago if they just would have got Niels Gravilius on it. They should have. I don't know why they didn't. Niels, have a great day. And if I don't talk to you before the Christmas season, have a great Christmas and New Year's. But I hope we talk before.
No. You stay safe in Rwanda. That was a very touching video you showed of the farmyard there, the Rwandan house. You're a good man for doing the charitable works that you do. I've been all over sub-Saharan Africa. It's an amazing place, and it's often quite scary, unfortunately.
Yeah. Rwanda is an amazing place, and I wish I could spend more time here. It's snowing back home in Colorado, so I'm thinking about just hiding out here and seeing if I can. I have a residence visa actually here, so or I don't know what they call it, but I can stay as long as I want. So I'm thinking about doing that, but I don't know who's going to feed my dog if I stay gone much longer. So I got to take care of that.
All right.
So.
Well, if you need me to fly over to Colorado and feed your dog, send me a message, okay?
Oh, I appreciate it. Nils Gravilius, the lawman extraordinaire. The Last Lawman is the name of his book, and it will be out in June, but pre-order it now. You want to be the first one to get a copy of that, and always fascinating to have Nils on the program. Want to remind you that Sherry Cree is such a fantastic. Well, she was supposed to be on the show yesterday. We had to cancel at the last minute because I couldn't get to anywhere to do the show. And she's a realtor extraordinaire, but I have to tell you that she was here with us a couple of years ago for the ribbon cutting of our Legacy Christian Academy. And I have to tell you that I wanted her to tell her view of what she saw in Rwanda on that day and in that time. And well, we're going to get her back on the show when I get back. I'm off air tomorrow because I'm traveling. But Monday, I'd like to have her on. We'll have her on. And hopefully we're going to Monday or Tuesday and not just talk about real estate, but talk about her experience in Rwanda and why her and her husband have been such great supporters of Rivers Promise and even flew over here with us. It's a great lady. Homes with Sherry. Listen, you're thinking about selling your home, real estate transaction. Maybe it's real estate something in next year. Listen, you need to start planning ahead. You need to start planning ahead and start doing the things you need to do to get top dollar for your home or to get know when those homes are going to hit the market. If you're going to wait till May or June to even start looking, if you're a buyer out there, you don't want to wait till then. You want to have Sherry looking for homes really after the first of the year. Even now, have her keep her spidey senses up to find the home, because if you wait till April or May and then you kind of get in the game, you might have passed your dream home in January, February, March. Listen, it's real estate. I hate to say it's a game, but there's a definite way to play the game and there's win the game, and Sherry's in it to help you win the game of real estate. Go to the website homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com, and be sure to tell her that it was Jimmy Lakey that told you to be in touch with her. homeswithsherry.com. Anywhere in the great area of Colorado, up and down that I-25 corridor from Fort Collins to Denver, Boulder, Broomfield. If you want to live in Aurora, whatever it is you want to live in, Parker, the Park Meadows, Highlands Ranch area, Longmont, Frederick, Firestone, Dacono, Arvada. You get the idea. She can help you. And if by chance she thinks you're in an area that she can't help you, she has a free referral service. Sherry Cree, homeswithsherry.com. We'll get on the show back on early next week, and she can talk about her experience when she was here with me in Africa. All right, I'm going to go to Jay Rattle, but real quick, let me show you a great little photo. This is the photo that popped up earlier. This is a guy yesterday. I learned a Kinyarwanda word, and I told how to say glasses. Amada Rubundi. Amada Rubundi is the word for glasses in Kinyarwanda. I think they should just say glasses. It's a lot easier. Amada Rubundi. And so I was telling the kids out on the playground as they were doing physical exercise that I knew a word. I was teaching them this is the word for glasses, and I said Amada Rubundi. And I was doing it, and so I went around, and this is just the first one I could grab today. I went around and took photos with all the kids with Amada Rubundis, and that's a great little guy. He's in our third grade class at Legacy Christian Academy, and he was very happy to have his Amada Rubundis on with Papa Kazungu's Amada Rubundis. And so there we are together, and if you want to impress your friends at a dinner or cocktail table, try to say it. Don't say it fast and don't say it drunk, because it's not going to come out well. Amada Rubundi. I had to have my director send it to me in a message because I kept screwing it up. Amada Rubundi. Yeah, we both have our Amada Rubundis on. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome into the program fine supporter of Rivers Promise and the work we've done here through the years, and that he's been a blessing to us on this very trip. It's Mr. Jay Ratliff, aviation and travel expert. Jay, do you wear any Amada Rubundis?
I do not, and my head was swimming when you're pronouncing that. I thought I just have to point and smile. No way I would be able to rattle that out, my friend. But no, I've gone through 2 LASIK surgeries, so I don't have to wear reading glasses, which is nice. And I know when I'm doing my Bible study and I have to extend my arms out, it's time to go back and have them looked at again. But it's I'm just glad that I don't have to worry about it. At night, sometimes things get to be a little bit too bright for me as I drive, but fortunately, no glasses. And that young man looked great in his glasses.
Yeah, Amadai Rubundis. I think they also have a word that's longer than that for the word ambulance. And I'm like, guys, just say ambulance. It's a heck of a lot easier. They had a lot of consonants and in every word here. So that's why I haven't learned the language. But Amadai Rubundi, I'm well on my way to being fluent. All right, Jay Radler. Great Scrabble word. Spell check that, people. See if I got that wrong. All right, Jay Radler. First of all, it's travel season, and obviously airlines are full. And it's also weather season, winter season. I know Colorado got some snow. Let's start with that. What's it like moving around the country, not just in the early parts of the holiday season, post-Thanksgiving, pre-Christmas, but now snow hitting part of the country?
Yeah, we're looking at delays right now in and out of Dallas and Houston. Also, Atlanta giving us some headaches. And Atlanta, I think, is going to be the bigger problem child of the day. So if you're flying to or through any of those airports, as far as connections on American, Delta, United, Southwest, you might be looking at some delays. The good news is we finally caught a break in the Northeast. Things are looking good there. Chicago's looking okay. Denver, which is battling some weather earlier in the week, good as well. So it's really just that southern corridor that's giving us some headaches and kind of being the problem children of the day.
Let's talk about the travel loads. I know just recently you sent me a story that the TSA has just set a one-day record, and are we about to have another record coming up here in the next coming weeks? Talk about the travel loads. What does it look like out there?
Well, typically, you and I have talked about over the years how the week of Thanksgiving is the single busiest travel week of the year. You have the busiest day typically of the year is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. The second busiest is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And that's what we had this year. In fact, the TSA told us on Monday, we set a new record. We've never had as many people flying as far as being screened ever than we did on Sunday. Again, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, 3.1 million people were screened, breaking the old record. Sadly, it was also the day where we had 12,400 and I think 13 flight delays due to weather conditions across the country. And that caused all kinds of headaches. And of course, if you misconnect, where you get to your connecting city at that airport and your flight's already gone, Jimmy, every other flight's full. So a lot of people traveling on Sunday that were delayed didn't get home till Sunday or yesterday, or actually Tuesday, when they were able to get home. So it was just a nightmare for a lot of people. So some people might say, yeah, guys, great. You can celebrate the record travel on Sunday, but I was a part of it. I just got home. So if you were a part of history Sunday, you might have had to earn it. We were one day away from just getting that weather behind us. Had the weather arrived Monday or Tuesday, it would have been great. But it was a landmine that went off on Sunday that unfortunately created travel headaches from coast to coast.
I'll tell you a quick story. Last week at this time I was traveling. I left Denver, went to Dallas to check on my mother who's had many health issues recently. And then from Dallas, I went to Chicago O'Hare, got to the airport fortunately early and got a text that my flight was going to be delayed, and that's connecting Chicago to Brussels. They were able to squeeze me, run me to the gate, and get me on the earlier flight that was delayed to Chicago. Chicago was an absolute mess. United Airlines was, they should fire the entire staff and start over at Chicago O'Hare. We got on the plane. We were over 2 hours delayed getting out of Chicago. The flight attendants were standing by the United gate, and in Chicago, you land at the international terminal, and then they board on another terminal. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get anyone to come move the plane on ground operations. Then they said, oh, they're doing construction. They can't move. We were 2 hours late. I missed my connection in Brussels and chose to stay the night in Brussels, although United's solution for me was to go from Brussels, wait 5 hours at the airport, fly to London Heathrow, and then fly a Rwandan airline jet all the way down overnight, 2 overnight flights in a row, basically. And I said, why don't I just stay here for the next plane? I'll get a hotel. Right. And they fought me for it. That being said, they blamed everything that the FAA had slowed things down and were picking things up. They blamed the air traffic controllers. are we seeing this kind of? Was this exclusive? I guess that Thanksgiving week to Chicago O'Hare and me, or were other people reporting kind of just that they didn't seem to have the rhythm right?
Well, it depends on the day. Like that Sunday travel mess, 46% of United flights were delayed. I think Southwest had about the same number, Delta as well. The weather was just creating all kinds of havoc. And when you've got American Airlines with 40% of your entire flight operation delayed, certainly that creates all kinds of problems. And yes, right now we are still short of air traffic controllers in certain parts of the country. When we have weather or a lot of flights at one time, that becomes condensed and the FAA will throttle back. They'll do a traffic management program where they'll say, we're only going to allow so many flights in. And that's why we have the ground stops that you and I encounter all the time where, yeah, we're in Dallas. We can't take off for 45 minutes because of a ground stop where the FAA is throttled back the number of flights that are going through a congested corridor. It's a safety issue. And certainly that's what we want them to do. And a lot of times when you have flights arriving at different times that are arriving late, some early at the airport, they've got all their employees positioned. And I know this from a ground operations standpoint to work specific flights. And if you've got 2 or 3 gates that are open, but you're not expecting a flight to be there for 20, 30, 45 minutes, then you don't have anybody stationed there. You've got all hands on deck at other gates. So if you've got a flight coming in early, it may sit there until they can bring a crew over that can marshal that aircraft in. If you've got a flight that's not left the gate when it's supposed to, creates all kinds of logistic issues. So when you have that kind of a problem, that's a lot of times borne out from weather conditions and late arriving aircraft, it can be a nightmare. Plus, most airports like Chicago, they may count on 28 flights coming in at a specific time using 25 gates, knowing 3 of them are going to be delayed. When all 28 get there on time, okay, now we got a problem. And that's what some airlines do at some airports, knowing that, look, we can basically use 25 gates for 30 arriving aircraft because we know several of them will be delayed throughout the day, and we can use that to our advantage. So, the best thing to do is, as you know, catch the first flight out that you can, because that's the one that stands the best chance of being operating on time. The problem is when you have bad weather and you have later in the day flights, it can really become problematic because those delays stack up. And the next thing you know, you're really fighting a major delay that sometimes can keep you 2 or 3 days removed from what your intended international destination happens to be.
Well, I heard that United was, heard the flight attendants talking that they were very horrified because coming from Chicago, there's a lot of people. It's you go to Brussels, it's the portal back into Africa. And there's a lot of people that are missing connections on their Africa transfers, but they, unlike Americans, don't have visas to go into the country. And if they couldn't be rerouted for a while, they would actually be stuck at the airport, or United was going to have to fly them back to the United States. And United just, it's kind of part of the game. They have to make those connections in Brussels, and if they don't, my passport gets me into the country of Brussels. Just sign my name and off I go. Right. But they had 100 immigrants or 100 people from Africa trying to get home, and God bless them. I hope they enjoyed sleeping on the airport floor.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll make that trip and it's uneventful, and that's what we hope for every single time. But a lot of times it can be problematic, and I'm telling you, catching a flight in Chicago in the winter can be a coin flip. I mean, if you're going out of Kennedy, if you're going out of Chicago, Detroit, hold your breath. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's why a lot of times for us, I won't, on an international trip in the winter, I won't route through Chicago. I won't go through Kennedy. I'll try to go through Atlanta or Dallas if I can. Even if I've got to go back to Dallas to catch a longer flight back over, I'll do that because I can count on the weather most of the time a little bit more in Atlanta or Charlotte than I can anywhere else. That's why a lot of people will, take Houston over Chicago or Dulles or Newark with United, because they can count on winter weather many times being a little bit more friendly. Today's the exception out of a Houston that it might be somewhere else. So, it sometimes is a coin flip as far as what's going on. The best thing to do is when you're catching like a cruise or something that is scheduled where you got to be there, try to arrive at the destination a day early, so that if you do encounter travel issues on the way, you're not freaking out planning on getting there the same day that your trip or cruise or whatever it might happen to be is scheduled to leave.
Jay Ratliff, I've got a lot of stuff we didn't get to talk to, but you have other things to do. We got to move forward. We'll carry some of these over to next week. They're evergreen topics. I'm sure we can get to them. Glad you're feeling better, sir. You're looking great. Appreciate you being on the program. jratliff.com, jratliff.com, jratliff.com. Next time I talk to you, I'll be back in America. We'll see you. Thanks, sir. jratliff.com. He's got to run there. He's got day trading to do, and I keep yapping and asking questions that weren't even on our schedule. Scott obviously has been to Africa before, so it's too bad Rwanda Air didn't come through with the Dallas-Fort Worth flights they're going to do. There's still rumors they're going to do that, but that flight route, supposedly, if it happens, is going to come from the new airport, and the new airport here has not yet opened. They said last year, and then they say this next year, so I don't know. It's Rwanda time, and I'm not sure when that new airport. But there's rumor that there will be a nonstop from Kigali, Rwanda, back into the United States, and there's rumor that it will come from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that would be very interesting. And Rwanda Air, the problem with Rwanda Air, and it could change if they do that, they don't code share with anyone. When you travel as much as I do, you like the code shares because at least you get some points and build up some miles for future flights and upgrades and things like that. Got upgraded on one of my flights on the way up here. I was surprised. I haven't been upgraded in a while because they haven't liked me. And after talking so bad about United Airlines, I'm sure they probably won't upgrade me again for a while. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we will not do a show because you know why? I will be on my way back. Well, I won't be on my way back yet. I'll be heading to the airport in Rwanda just about this time, and I will arrive back in the United States over the weekend, good Lord willing, and the weather cooperates. And that's if I decide to board the flight. I'm going to check the weather. It looks like producer Chad said around our homes, about 6 inches of snow on the ground. I'm not looking forward to that. I do appreciate you, though, for tuning in. Let me remind you one more time, if you'd like to be a sponsor of one of our kids or help our charity movement, I can still deliver the word to a kid that they have a sponsor. I'm still here on the ground. Go to riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. I showed these photos earlier. This is a little one that this is a little girl that Stacy, who's in the audience, sponsors. There's some other ones. I just grabbed these real quick because I was running late on the show. This is off our reel. Told that's a child that Stacy sponsors. This is a little guy that I don't think this guy has a sponsor. If you want to find out who he is, he's the guy with the Amada Rabundis, the glasses on, and we took a photo together because we had Amada Rabundis on together. And if you'd like to sponsor a little kid like that, help keep him in school, your sponsorship is going to provide him health insurance. It's going to provide basic necessities. And again, if you go to facebook.com/Rivers Promise, and you should be able to see the video of a home of what this kid goes home to. A lot of times you see the smiling faces and say, man, they're just so cute. Everything's good. They go to school. They want to be at school so bad and so much because their school life there's nutrition, there's food, there's love, there's hugs, and they get to escape that poverty just by attending our campus. There's running water, there's flushing toilets. I mean, there's things that they just don't get at home, and you change the life of a child forever. And as I said, all of these kids, I come over here, education is the ladder that these children will use to climb from the pit of extreme poverty. So if you'd like to build a little relationship as much as you want with the kid. They love hearing from their sponsors. They will write you a letter at least 2 times a year, and you'll watch them grow up. I've had kids, I've sent 3 now to trade school that they've finished school. We have a girl that's finishing up university now that was sponsored all the way through. You change their life forever. And sometimes people say, well, I don't want to do an individual child. Then what you can do, my friends, is just remember any amount you give, set it up on a monthly recurring basis. And that way, every month, we apply it to the greatest need. And the greatest need, I guarantee you, our greatest need is food. It's not staffing, it's not salary, it's getting these kids to school. So when you go greatest need, you're in theory sponsoring a child without choosing a name. When you donate to the greatest need 1 time, 5 times, 10 times, you're sponsoring a kid, you're keeping our school open. And again, education is the ladder these kids will use to climb from the pit of extreme poverty. So make a donation today. I would give the final tally tomorrow before I leave, and the final list, and deliver the final news to kids who might have gotten a sponsor or donations that came in. Again, don't be afraid of a small gift. If it's a 1-month gift, if it's a one-time gift, if it's $1, $100, if it's a lot of, if whatever you can do. And some of you can do a lot, some of you can't do anything, and some of you can do very little. Whatever it is, riverspromise.org, make that donation, riverspromise.org. And again, don't let the smiling faces fool you. Those kids are sure cute, but sometimes they go home to some really dire situations. I would guarantee, haven't done a survey, most of those children, when they sleep at night, are sleeping on the dirt floor of their home. We give them a nice uniform, and everyone's equal. And we have some kids that are probably in a much better situation. But when you saw that video that's up at facebook.com/Rivers Promise, you'll see that you walk in and literally there's a pig in your house because that's your most precious commodity and that's your family's future. That cow, we joked about the cow not producing milk in the video. The reason we joked is because they take that milk and use some for the family, but they can sell it at the market, and that's how they can help sustain the family. And so I'm writing a blog now that I'll send out an email in the next few days called "I Prayed for a Cow," and we really did. I prayed for the cow to produce milk because without milk, the family doesn't eat. So anyway, yeah. Jeff puts a great word out there. If you can't afford to donate, that's fine, but at least spread the word. When you see the videos on Facebook, facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey /Rivers Promise, spread the word. Help us do that. And again, when you give to greatest need, you're giving to basically a child. And if you want to choose a specific child, you can do that as well. All right, we're going to do meme roulette. Okay, final one, and I'll be back in America next week. Good Lord willing. Here we go. Meme roulette. This is where we steal memes from around the globe. And we just they illustrate absurdity. Ready? Let's do it. Round and round the globe. I should have brought the globe. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Is it weird that in America our flag and culture offends so many people, but our benefits don't seem to offend them? Now think about that. America is the most horrible country, and socialism is the best way to live, and yet all these people in socialist countries want to come here where we're not technically a socialist country, but it makes no sense, right? Yeah, it's a little bit weird. That's a great meme. It is a little bit weird. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Here's the next one. The best illegal alien we ever had. That's him, E.T. He learned English and he went home. Yeah, those were the days, weren't they? That's the days. He is the best illegal. Is there a trophy for that? I don't know. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Minnesota added to Trump's third world travel ban. That's funny. Elon Omar and some of those backpack crazy leftists up there, or some people call them garbage, they can't travel from Minnesota. Tim Walz also would not be able to move about the country if we put Minnesota on the travel ban. You know, I'm not opposed to that idea. I'm really not. I think we should consider it. Run that by Donald, would you? Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. My computer's a little slow here. Maybe it's already showing for all of you. Minnesota, the land of 10,000 mistakes, the Somali scams. Timmy Walz giving money to old Elon Omar. I hate to just call her Elon because you think I'm talking about brother Elon Musk. Elon Omar. There's got to be a better way to pronounce her name. All right, let's see how else we got in the meme roulette. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Imagine taking medical advice from a man who needs a pardon for the medical advice he gave. I want you to look at that man. That's called Anthony Fauci, and this is true. Contemplate it right there. Taking medical advice from a man who had to have a pardon for all the medical advice that he actually gave. Yeah, what a fraud and a fraudster he is, and should be locked up. Crimes against humanity. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there's a goal. There it is. It took a while to get to China, but it's telling us right now in my ear that we've actually done more intellectual property theft than China itself, and China's putting it into it. We've offended them so bad, and we're sorry for that, but we'll do some more of that intellectual property theft next week on the program. All right, don't forget, if you want to contact us on the show, info@jimmylakey.com. If you're listening on any of the assets out there, the podcast platforms later in the day, hello Spotify, hello iHeart, hello Apple Podcast. Always love to hear from you, really do. And for those of you that watch the show live, again, thousands of earballs will watch the show or hear the show today. We appreciate any of you that could to donate. You realize if everybody donated just $1 to watch the show, the Rivers Promise, it'd be really cool. It really would be. No show tomorrow. I will be heading to the airport here in Kigali, Rwanda at about that time, but we should be back live on Monday morning, good Lord willing. So no show tomorrow. I hate to say that, and I know you'll be brokenhearted, but please wipe the tears from your Amada Rabundis. Right, wipe those tears off. and I'll be back. I promise you I will be. Thank you, Ray. I will have a safe flight home. If I have anything to say about it, it's going to be a very safe flight home. Not only did I pray for a cow, you guys should pray that I get a good upgrade. Just a little prayer. Just a little bit. All right, let's do it. Let's wrap this puppy up. Okay, if you're going to pray, I would suggest maybe pray for the cow. That's probably more important, or pray for the children. But if you have an extra prayer left and you got some extra time, an upgrade would be nice tomorrow. Who would be? Hey, everybody, riverspromise.org. I'm looking for your donations today to help the children. Hallelujah. I'll see you later. I don't know how easy today. I think we need urban hotel. Love urban hotel. God bless you. God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. No show tomorrow. I'll see you Monday. Until then, peace. I'm out of here. Don't forget the great video at Facebook.com/.